Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
Hi everyone, Jason Hunt here, inviting you to join us every Saturday morning for news. The week's headlines in science fiction, fantasy, horror, comic books, video games, plus Comic-Con updates and the weather, and the occasional interview along the way. We call it Good Morning Multiverse. We hope you join us every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 Central, right here on Sci-Fi for Me TV.
Madness Entertainment Group presents the Madness Comic Network with original programming and additional comic-related content. Tune in and subscribe to Comic Talk with Pops Van Zandt on YouTube.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alexandra, Faye, Sadeghian. We have the best studio audience. They applaud everything I say. Oh. Alexandra, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So you are you're promoting the film Guns of Eden, which I've watched now. So I'm going to be an informed interviewer tonight. Usually I am completely fly by the seat of my pants. I enter knowing nothing. So I'm a little bit more dangerous tonight than I usually am. But,
okay, cool.
But before I get right into it, you're in the creative industry. I work with a lot of people who decide that they want to go into creative endeavors of either writing or art or acting. And it's a risk. What motivated you to take the leap into this field?
It I feel like it chose me like pretty early on. The craft chose me, and I fought it for like a hot sec, and then I was like, nah, I'll just do it. Um, and it was really just like ultimately like the most passion I had for anything. So I was like, well, it doesn't make sense to not do this because I'll regret not doing this for the rest of my life if I don't do this.
Yeah.
And that was kind of just that was the decision right there. I was like, well, I'd rather just do it then and not regret not doing it, you know?
If you love doing it and you're not fighting to get to do it,
Hmm.
it's kind of the perfect gestalt.
Right.
Just do it.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
so what was your initial break into this? I mean, was it like, high school plays, local commercials? How did you really get the ball rolling with it?
Yeah, I mean, I discovered it in high school. I was a freshman in high school, and just in an elective class, and I, you know, knew that like I loved movies, but I didn't know, you know, how much I know now. So, in class, I realized it was really just immediately that I was like, oh, this is a thing. And I basically followed it all of high school. We were in like a traveling like honors theater program in my high school, so it was pretty intense. Um, and it was a really nice program, so I got to learn a lot about the craft just in high school. And then I went to college for it, and now we're here.
Your role in Guns of Eden, that's an action lead role. Is that what you normally trend toward now that you're making films, or do you just
Mm, I mean,
take
I
what job
think
comes?
probably more now. It's I think it's a fit. It just never it hadn't happened yet. I played some active parts, but never an action person. Like there'd been like a little stunt here and there or something like that, but it was never like, all right, you're spraying 30 people down in this scene. It was never that kind of thing. So this was the first time to really be fully in that type of role.
How dedicated, I guess, do you have to be to keeping yourself fit? Because for an action role, you are a fit person. Anybody watching the show can say, "Oh yeah, she looks like she's pulling that off." Um, what's your workout routine like to stay that way?
When I was in my early 20s, it's funny because I wasn't ever good at sports, but I always liked like hiking and I always liked like going to the gym and that kind of stuff. And more like adventurous things like, boxing or rock climbing. Like it was just I was never good at like soccer or, track and field or anything. So, I explored it more in my early 20s, like with weightlifting. So I got a little bit more into weightlifting and that kind of built me up to what my normal stature is, which I realized it's probably one of the best things for my body specifically, because I'm pretty sturdy. So like I'm naturally a little bit stronger. Um, so it was like weightlifting for this role. I just got a little heavier with it. And then some boxing, some, cardio, like biking, running, that kind of stuff, just for like cardiovascular health. And just because I knew it was going to be a pretty intense shoot. But for the actual role itself, I would say would be like the boxing and the weightlifting that really did it.
So what do you bench? Because people want to know.
I actually mostly just do push-ups.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Well, when you said weightlifting, I'm like, okay, it's people are going to want to know exactly what
no,
they got.
it's more like deadlifts, like my lower half is more weighted stuff. And I do like curls and I'll do like shoulder presses. And I'll beat like 30, 35 each, like on both hand for the shoulder presses. So it's nothing too serious. But for chest and stuff, I do like push-ups just because I mean I weigh enough at that point,
Oh yeah.
you know.
Okay. Uh, we have active chat tonight watching. Pops Van Zant is out there, says, hey, yo, and says, hi. Mr. CCDV says he played water polo back in high school, and the Army was easy for him because of, the push-ups. 80 in 2 minutes is pretty impressive, though. Yeah. Um,
That is.
that'd be a blur.
Yeah. I don't
My,
even know how you would do that. That's intense.
that's, that's 40 in 1 minute, 20 and a half. That's
Yeah.
almost a first of a second.
It's
Um,
doable. It's very doable, I guess.
just commit and don't think about it until you fall down, I guess.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Until
I
failure.
I I used to try to keep fit, um, and my regimen was I didn't have a set number in mind of any push-ups or sit-ups, but it's like I just remembered what I did the day before, and I said, "1 more."
Right.
Each night. And, and then, kids come along and, jobs start earlier and suddenly, you're 40 pounds heavier than you were before and it's not where you tried to put it. Uh,
Right, right.
so
Exactly.
I'd
So
love to get back to it, but I think I'd probably kill myself after 10 push-ups now. I'd start with 5. And just
yeah, it's
slowly
5,
work.
but it's 5 today, it's 6 tomorrow.
That's right.
So
Absolutely. You always do one more than you did last time.
right, exactly.
So by the time I'm 70, I should be able to do 1,000,000.
Exactly. You got
It
that
works
80 in
for
2 minutes.
exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so out of high school, you've had all the acting, touring, on stage and stuff. What's your first film role, and how do you get that?
My first film role would be Shakespeare's Shitstorm, and that is Lloyd Kaufman, Trauma Entertainment's producer and director. That is his latest film.
I didn't know
So,
you were in trauma.
yeah,
Oh my god.
I
My
actually
buddy
just
Stu
had
is going to
lunch
be
with
very
Lloyd the other
jealous.
day. He's a I love Lloyd. Lloyd's like a mentor, and he really was my intro into the industry. I met him when I was younger, when I was still in school, and then finally, they had just finished Return to Newcomb High. So they were kind of doing a lot of press for that when I had just met him. And then in 2018, 2019, they did Shakespeare's Shitstorm. So that's when
That's
that was like, and that's when I was really starting to do professional acting and not just training, because up until that point I had really just been training. And then I was like, all right, well, let's professionally start doing this now, like as a job. And that was my first like role.
let's collect a check now.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
Speaking of collecting checks, uh, Guns of Eden, I found out was an Indiegogo project,
Yeah.
which is we're no stranger to this. Every night on the show, we're talking to somebody with an Indiegogo project,
Mhm.
almost 95% of the time about comics and graphic novels. Uh,
Mhm.
and the case with, first of all, with Indiegogo, you've got to put pictures up to show, hey, this is what we're doing, this is what we're making, please invest. Uh, but when it's like a writer doing a comic book and not
Mhm.
the artist, uh, they have to pay the artists up front to get some visuals to show in order to entice
Right.
investors.
Right.
With a movie, and without, I don't want exact details. I don't want your tax returns on this. But do the producers pay the actors up front for the movie or some of the scenes of the movie and then go out and try to crowdfund it? Or was everybody fully vested in the project? We make it or we don't.
So I think, if you're speaking generally about crowdfunding, it can go any of those ways. So if you're going to film a teaser, most likely you're going to be paying your actors for that one. Now, sometimes you get like that in-kind deal. You have like a friend that, has all their gear and you get it for free and, all of that stuff. But um, most of the time there's at least a little bit of seed money to start with some visuals just to entice people. With Guns of Eden, I know they shot a full teaser actually before I was ever even on board. It was like a placeholder teaser. And some of the actual cast was in that one, but they were still, I don't think they had even started casting for Megan. Because they didn't know which direction they were going to go with, like a local hire or, expand out, or, what they were going to do.
Yeah.
So they did one beforehand, and I'm not sure, what the price tag was on that one, but they definitely put some money into creating a teaser beforehand, so that people saw that it was going to be cool.
Yeah, and the crowdfunder raised 80 something thousand dollars. So
Hmm.
for a movie, that's a low budget, but you guys didn't really need. You know what? I say you didn't really need a whole bunch of special effects, but you had a lot of explosions and squibs
Yep.
and sometimes I'm surprised where green screen gets used where I wasn't thinking about it.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. It's good if you can't see it. It's good if you can't tell, because then you're
yeah.
staying in the movie, and that means that we did our jobs.
So how did you find out about this project? Did they come to you? Was there a listing somewhere that said, "Hey, we're looking for somebody to be a police officer"?
So we actually, like a few years ago, I had met my friend. He's a director based out of LA. His name is John Woodruff, and we connected at a festival. It was one of my friend's festivals, and we'd been staying in touch, you know, mostly through like social media. And we're like, okay, one day we're gonna work together. He has this awesome movie out, and he's like getting into pre-production for the second one, but we haven't known each other during like, you know, him filming a film. So we've been staying in touch for years, and then he says, "Hey, my friend is casting for this film. He's a really really great filmmaker. I think you should reach out to him." So he sends me, it was a Facebook post, and I'm honestly not on Facebook too much, so he had to send it to me. I think it was outside of Facebook. So I reached out, actually heard nothing back. So then a few months later, I reached back out and I said, "Hey, you know, hope we can work together at some point. You know, like, you know, appreciate you reviewing my stuff, whatever. You know, just like a follow-up email."
Sure.
And you know what I found out later was the one that I had sent an email for ended up getting put on the back burner, and that Guns of Eden had ended up becoming the movie they were doing. So I sent that follow-up email, and within like 30 minutes, I got a response saying that they wanted me to read for this role of their film. And I was like, oh, that was incredibly fast. And, you know, I read the breakdown, and it's like this really, really cool character. And I'm like, I can do this. Like, this is like right up my alley of something I would want to do and I think I could pull off. So then we went through with the audition process, and here we are.
And the film is out there. In fact, folks, if you want to see this film, there's a link right below here that will take you to Amazon. It's available in lots of places. We have an affiliate link through Amazon. It helps keep the things rolling along here. We don't make a whole lot, but if you want to click it and get it that way, you know, we'd appreciate it. But you can find it anywhere else that's currently being sold on DVD or streaming. So the plot in its barest sense here, I don't want to give any spoilers away here, but you play a police officer who accidentally, and because you have really good aim, accidentally shoots another police officer dead, and you're on the leave, and your partner decides that you and some friends should go shooting in the woods or camping in the woods rather.
Right. Camping, yeah.
And while you're there, you just happen to witness a murder committed by local law enforcement.
Right.
And now your fugitives on the run in the woods, and they're calling in all the reserves. And apparently, was this filmed in upstate New York? Was it meant to be upstate New York?
Yeah, this was all in Buffalo.
Okay. Well, apparently all of upstate New York is more redneck than Arkansas, where I'm at.
Yeah, see, this was a big thing that Greg wanted to show, is that we have this prejudice towards the South for being racist or something, you know, from back in the day. And he was like, "No, don't you put on a Southern accent." When he was talking to all of the militia, he was like, "Do not put on a Southern accent." He's like, these people are from here, you know, like from Buffalo. So he was very adamant on showing that it was more of a universal thing, that these people are everywhere.
And it was interesting because it was obvious, and yet it was downplayed. I mean, you only heard one time when Preacher, the man's last name, says, you know, we have 4 people out in the woods. One of them's a black guy, and you can just kind of tell in the inflection. There's like, you know, yeah, and you know, none of the militia members were at all.
Nope. You know,
and it was a big militia.
Yeah, it was a big militia. Yeah, it was these subtle things, you know, not to like smack people in the face with these like views, but just saying like, hey, we know this type of person. We all know this type of person, or we've heard of this type of person.
Yeah, and it wasn't really heavy-handed, I want to say, because it came across more satirical to me, because you know there were characters who were obviously cartoons of different kinds of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, your congressional candidate who poses with the guns, you know, getting ready to go out in the woods and help shoot while she's posing for her selfies and kissing her gun. It's like,
Yeah.
we've seen that person. We know these people.
Exactly. It was just saying, hey, this isn't too far off from the world that we live.
So on the set, there were lots and lots of guns.
Yeah.
How many were real? None.
We had no real guns on set.
Is that standard?
It depends. It's whatever the production wants to do. You know, these were all cold guns. We weren't firing actual blanks on set. This was all done in post.
Okay. So you were just kind of like going bang, 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 pulling triggers.
Right, exactly. And then the effects added later. So it's a little bit more acting because you're like, I have to imagine that I'm doing this right now for everyone that was shooting a gun, which is everyone in this movie. But it's definitely a lot safer.
Were the hits also post-production, or did you have the little explosive squibs that would?
The hits were also post-production.
Wow.
I believe they might have had a few practical ones. I don't know those like little intricacies, but I know the majority of the hits were in post-production.
That was really well done then, because I thought that was a lot of ketchup packets that would.
Nice, good. I'm glad we fooled you.
Well, the reason I ask about the guns is, and this has been bothering me mentally for some time here. You know, we had the tragedy with Alec Baldwin,
right?
Who picks up a gun on set and fires it at somebody, and it's a real gun,
right?
And I'm just like, everyone's blaming him for not practicing gun safety. I'm like, what actor is supposed to know that the gun is not fake? And how would you know?
It's also not his job. Like, I understand he's a producer on that film, but like there's an armor that is supposed to be there that is handling the guns and doing the safety for the guns. It is not the actor's job to do the safety for the guns. So ultimately, it's really not him. It was actually the rest of production. Not everyone.
Why a real one would be there anyway? I mean,
because I don't authenticity maybe. If they're shooting blanks, I don't know if it needs to be, because I don't know, like I'm not well versed in special effects, to be honest. So, speaking to a specialist, he would be able to help more. But maybe because they're firing blanks, because I believe they were using blanks in those guns for the effect in camera. But for me, I'm like, I don't necessarily think it's worth it, because we used a bunch of fake guns, and I see lots of films with, real guns, and they all look the same. It's just like not worth almost, killing someone or killing someone, or just putting that many people that are making a movie at risk, because that's a lot of people on set, with family.
Yeah. It's everything there, I think an actor would expect to be a cap gun. And I don't know if you can even tell the difference by weight.
Yeah.
You carried a lot of guns in Guns of Eden, and this was not a gun safety movie, folks. There were people with fingers on triggers the whole time. There was no trigger caution. In fact, you do the one glorious scene there at the end where I'm like, in real life, no one would ever shoot a gun this way, but you got the out in both directions, and you're doing the Wonder Woman spin and hitting every target.
Right, exactly. Just magically hitting
looks
every
great
target.
in the movie.
Right. Movie magic.
Now, the film ends on a sort of a cliffhanger. I mean, you're not out of the woods when this is done. Are they talking about bringing you back for more?
Yeah, the intention is to do a sequel. So, I think everyone's just seeing all the production crew, all the producers, director. They're seeing how this first one is received. So far, we've gotten, like some great reviews, and everyone seems to really like it, which is awesome. So as long as it's released and well received, I believe we're going to be doing a second one.
That's great. I look forward to seeing that. I guess they're going to crowdfund that one as well, possibly.
I don't know, actually. I think that's going to depend. They may not have to, to depend.
You make enough off of this one, that you've got the seed money, go for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Folks in the chat who are, know their guns and watch their movies. Mr. CCTV, it annoys me more that actors cock their pistols when they're supposed to have a round in the chamber. Yeah, dramatic effect. You got to have that click click sound. It's like, oh, this is when it's going to happen.
It's
We know
this
better.
impending doom.
Yep. Pops is the point. You don't point a gun at anyone and pull the trigger. There has to be some admission of stupidity at least. Yeah, but the thing is, it shouldn't be a gun. It should be a prop. If I carve one out of wood and point it at somebody and pull a trigger, I do not expect a bullet to come out of that thing.
For sure. If you're shooting a BB gun, you're like, this isn't going to do anything. Now there are there are tactics in place for certain angles that you don't really have to ever point a gun at someone, and it's preferred to not do that. That is 100% true, that you, because of angles on camera, don't really have to point it at them. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen by accident when you're in the heat of a scene, because that is how you would use a gun. And I don't know what angle they were shooting. I don't know if it was possible to cheat it at that point.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I mean, it wasn't his job to do the safety on the gun, and it wasn't.
Oh, no,
I believe it probably wasn't his decision to use real guns. It was probably more the art departments and the producers.
I still. Here's the thing. I'm a writer. I got to write for some of the Destroyer books. I have a manuscript that's not published yet, and it has a scene set on a movie set where an actor's given a real gun and doesn't know it. I'm like, stop stealing my ideas. Stop.
Yeah.
It's coming true. But in this case, he was trying to show her how to die, and he shoots himself in the head. But
right.
Yeah, I keep waiting for someone to say they snuck a real gun on the set to start a murder mystery, to frame the guy.
I think sometimes too, people on these shoots, like, we don't pay enough attention to like how long people have been shooting, how tired people are when people start slipping on their jobs, because that gun should have been safety before anyway. When you safety a gun, you shoot it enough times to clear it completely, and you check if there's anything in there, like you open the gun up and see. So it wasn't safety,
So
if it was safety, it wouldn't have happened. So that's
you're dropping a lot of knowledge here. Did this come from Guns of Eden, or have you worked with guns on other films before this?
Yeah, I've worked with guns on other film sets too, and it's just a standard for protection of everyone, and it should always be treated like it's a loaded gun no matter what. Like, I think some of these people were commenting, like, it should be treated like it's a loaded gun. It should always be pointed down. It really shouldn't be pointed at people. It should be pointed a little bit off.
When it's a prop gun, pointed away.
Prop gun, it's more just like courtesy. Now, it doesn't mean it's not going to ever happen. Just majority of the time, you can avoid it.
Yeah. And Pops, that's the big questions here was whose was it and what was it doing on the set? That's the armorer's. It was the armorer's gun, and it shouldn't have been on the set. She put it out there. Actors around guns on a set are like children in the home. It's a toy.
Yeah.
Everyone expects it to be a toy. I'm not trying to insult the actors, but it's the same mindset.
Not every actor knows how to actually shoot a gun. That's shooting a gun on set. So that's, it's up to the production to fill in those holes, because they're actors. They're not like the SWAT team. they're not all ex-military.
Exactly. They're not, Delta Force here. They're like, know what they're doing. Do you shoot? I mean, do you do it if only to, look more realistic when you do it on film?
Well, I got lucky for this because my brother is military. And since he's a lot older than me, and since I've been a little girl, he's exposed me to guns and shooting and how to shoot. It doesn't mean I'm like a pro. It just means I'm definitely familiar with handling them.
Okay. So you were able to at least, look like you knew what you were doing, at least during some of the shoots there, not the wild and crazy. Okay, I'm doing this for, excitement.
For the dramatic effect.
I would have to say a lot of the budget went on the props, because it wasn't just people with rifles and pistols. You guys were pulling out, machine guns. Was that a rail gun that was near the end of the film there? On the back of the truck, truck-mounted one?
I can't remember, actually. I can't remember what it was called specifically. That was definitely more like the prop master would know better than me.
it was just it was a lot of guns. If you like guns, people, and you like seeing bad guys get shot, and the trope, this was okay. This was Rambo: First Blood
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
Alexandra playing the part of John Rambo. Lost,
Exactly.
alone in the woods. All your friends are not around, and
Exactly.
you're being hunted.
Yeah, that was the joke on set the whole time. I got called Rambo a lot.
I bet. Well,
Yeah.
it's the trope they call it.
Right. Exactly.
And we love that kind of stuff.
Right.
You're at a disadvantage, and then you decide to take charge. You get your first gun in hand, and now it's on. Now the
Right. Exactly.
hunter becomes the hunted.
Yes.
So where do you go next from here? I mean, are you auditioning for any parts? Are you currently producing any parts?
Yeah, I'm pretty much constantly auditioning. I have a film that we just finished. It's called Bound. It's like a very different type of movie, like drama thriller kind of edgy thing going on. So that should be coming out in the next few months. And then I have a film called Eagle Squad versus Alien, which is another action movie. So we're shooting that early next year.
I'm looking forward to the screeners on that one. That
Yeah.
sounds like the kind of sci-fi, kind of sounds like a B movie trauma kind of thing that
Yeah,
we would enjoy.
exactly.
So do you do all your filming in New York, or do you go
No, I go
around?
wherever it is. Like, if it's Guns of Eden was in Buffalo, Bound, that last one was in Jersey. This new one's gonna be in India.
Oh
Um,
my!
yeah, so it just depends on where. I've gone pretty much all over. I'm talking to one filmmaker about shooting down in Texas. A lot of shootings now happening down in Texas and down in the South, which is really awesome. So really just wherever it is, New York City's hard to shoot in. It's really, even if you have the budget, it's a pain in the butt. Like I've done it a lot, and it's just, you have like no space to breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to adjust my head here for a minute because we were just talking about guns, and you're talking about shooting in the South. I'm like, yeah, we do. Oh wait, she's talking
Oh
about
yeah,
camp.
yeah. Filming. Sorry.
No, it's cool. It's me. Uh, so what's your ideal role? I mean, maybe not an ideal role, but if someone's going to film maybe a remake of your favorite movie, and you've got to get in it, what role, what movie kind of would that be?
I love this question. So I have two of
Because
them.
I'm the only one who's ever asked it. I know.
Yes. Absolutely. The first time I've ever heard this question. I love it. The first one, the more mainstream one, would be Poison Ivy. Since I was a little girl, I dreamed about being Poison Ivy, which is kind of messed up because she's like the villain, but I think she's awesome. And I don't think we've ever gotten a really great interpretation of her. And I've seen it a lot. And I, being such a big fan of her, think that we can do so much better. And then the second one is it's an anime. It's Princess Mononoke.
Oh, I saw the Neil Gaiman English interpretation of that one.
Yeah,
So
that one.
so you'd want to do a live action Mononoke? That would be.
Yeah, it's those two are like, since I've been a kid, I dreamed about being those two people.
So when you say Poison Ivy, now we are talking about the plant lady from the Batman.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, could be the Drew Barrymore film, but maybe not.
No, yeah, from the DC universe. Yeah, I think she's just so dynamic. Actually, the best I've seen her done is the Harley Quinn TV show.
You like that one? I've been watching that one, and I take it for what it is. It's like Mad Magazine version of the
Right.
universe.
Yeah, I think it's a funny show. It's a cool show. That's really what I took from it. I was like, this is actually the coolest interpretation of her. Because if you read the comics, she's just like, she's a really dynamic character, and a lot of times she just kind of gets put into like just like the things that she does and not really her personality at all. And it sucks because like Harley Quinn has such a personality, and we kind of have monopolized her personality so much. So, it'd be cool to see like this other character who actually is really, living in this so closely with Harley Quinn, but so different yet so similar, to finally kind of delve into like who she actually is, not just this poisonous creature that we kind of always interpret her as. So I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, she's always been better animated than live action. Well, she's only been live action, I guess, twice.
No, Gotham did her
yeah.
too.
Yeah, with
It
a
was
couple of different actors because she kept evolving.
right. And in the Arkham video game, she's done really, really well too. So it's
Yeah.
whenever she's like done animated, it's really awesome. And I just feel like they're putting out Avatar too. Like we don't have the ability to make her as cool for a live action. I don't believe that.
Oh yeah. Well, but between that and what I've been seeing people do with like the 3D art,
Mm-hmm.
mix some 3D art with some of this AI art engines that are coming on, and you're just
Mm-hmm.
going to kick out movies with nobody acting in them in the future. Sorry,
Right.
don't mean to scare you, but it could get there.
I think it's going to get very far. I think it's going to be hard to, the hard thing I think with AI is the eyes.
Yeah.
And like the little bitty human nuances that are super unexpected. But with a lot of
the
stuff,
uncanny valley. Where
yeah. I know what you're talking about. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it gets the more realistic it gets, the less believable it is.
Right.
It doesn't look quite right. My thing with AI is that they're doing faces better, but you still end up with 6 fingers or 2 elbows on an arm. It hadn't figured out how to do hands yet.
Right. Yeah, we're still working out the kinks, I think.
Yeah. Does backgrounds wonderfully, which is what I use it for.
Mm.
And then just overlay stuff on top of it.
Oh, nice.
Well, that took a strange turn. I didn't expect us to be talking about comic books and art again tonight. But
Yeah.
here we are. So you were watching Poison Ivy as a kid. Were you reading any of the comics? I mean, were you a geek girl? Were you a geek girl?
I don't think, I always say this because I always like these things, but I can never like recite things. And I'm not like so obsessed with anything super nerdy. So people are like, oh, you don't actually like it. But I was a nerdy kid. Like I was a very nerdy kid. Like
you were in drama club. Of course you were. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Anime all the time. I played Bionicles. I played like just all this crazy stuff. And even now I geek out on like random things like Lord of the Rings and anime and like and I'm like,
I can hear the chat already.
Why?
I can hear the chat already going, one of us.
Right. I know. It's true.
Right,
I mean, it's some interesting stuff.
I'm glad that there are more people enjoying it. I keep, sometimes I look at my own kids and they're like, I don't care about that stuff. That I'm like, no, you don't understand. Somebody's got to carry this forward. So
right.
I'm glad
Exactly.
there are more people still enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I have pretty much come to the end of all the questions I had to ask, and I don't want to just keep you on for the sake of having you here. And when I could let you go, but is there anything about this movie or your future career plans that I haven't asked about that I should have, that you're wanting to make sure people know about?
I think just, Guns of Eden is like, it's intense. It's a lot of action. But it's also a lot of fun.
It is. It doesn't take itself too seriously, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, it's a B movie, gun revenge, strong female lead, blow things up all over the place thriller.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
you can get it right down there below the video, folks. So with that in mind, I just want to thank you for coming on the program tonight. This happens. Sometimes I leave the back door open, Alexandra.
Oh, yeah.
And visitors pop in. Pops, you have a question, sir. Pops Van Zandt from the Madness Comics Network, with whom we are affiliated and simulcasting at the moment.
Yes, I could not let RJ just like fade off like that. We have a whole bunch of people in a huge network, and there's a few of them that would probably love to get you out on their show and help you promote this upcoming movie.
Yeah.
Okay?
You said book because that's what we do all the time. Book.
This is what we do, exactly. We're partnered with the guys over at the Dorkening, Leo Pond, the Still Toking Network with Benjamin Bartlett and Jeff Homan, Nita Lanning over there at the Raging 2 Network. So many of us. There are so many of us that just want to get eyes on what you do.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
The main one I have to mention though is tomorrow morning at the Tuesday Morning Brew. Our girl Lori Calcaterra, who is a martial artist and a comic book creator and a short film producer and all kinds of stuff. She'd love to have you on the show sometime. I'm just saying, she had Margene Holden a couple weeks ago from Jurassic Park and Star Trek and 8 million other dang things. She had the lady has a credit sheet longer than my rap sheet.
Wow.
Okay.
I'll get you hooked up with Jeff, Pops, because Alexandra doesn't make her schedule. She's an actress.
Right, cool.
She has people to do that for her, right?
But yeah, I mean, you said it's tomorrow? Or
I'm saying every Tuesday morning we have a show called the Tuesday Morning Brew. I mean, I'd obviously want you to have time to schedule it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm down for, whoever wants to talk about the film and talk a little bit more, in this kind of format. Like I love chatting about it.
Cool.
Awesome.
I will look
Thank
forward
you.
to seeing more of you then, because we have this saying, we kind of pass people like you around like a fatty. Okay, we always pass to the left, but we pass you all around. We just make sure as many different audiences can see you and what you're doing as possible.
The value of having a network.
Yeah, wow. Look at that. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You bet.
All right, so Pops, I'm going to send you. I'm going to email Jeff right after this. I'm going to send him your email address as a CC and say, hey,
make sure you get the right one, the new one.
I'll make sure you can DM me before I do that, so I make sure I get the right email address.
Cool.
Okay. Anything else? Does anybody else going to come in here and try to steal Alexandra away from the show?
Now,
I know y'all want to. Come on.
I'll go ahead and ask one question. What's the most fun you've ever had in the industry?
It's got to be on Guns of Eden. Guns of Eden was easily the favorite set I've ever been on. It was just a really good cast and crew. Everyone was really positive, really surprisingly, even the villains were so nice. Like, they're such nice people. Like, actually maybe nicer than some of like us, like our side. And I've talked about that in interviews where, people are like, what are the villains like? I'm like, they're actually some of the nicest people I've ever met. It was definitely on this film. I'm trying to think of like what day specifically. If there was fun all the time. My favorite was, if you see, like, when you watch the movie, you'll see like her going through this huge rock maze. That day was very, very fun. It was very smelly. It was really, honestly, it smelled god awful in that maze. But it was really, really cool, because we were shooting with the drone and it was just super, super interactive and intense and action packed. And it was exactly how it looks on camera.
Well, I was going to ask if that was a set or if that was natural occurring landscape.
Naturally occurring in Buffalo, New York.
Wow.
Naturally occurring in Buffalo, New York. Oh my God.
Because I was watching you guys run down these narrow rock corridors. And I'm like, I'm waiting for her to fly that X-Wing over there and just pop a laser bomb right down the the Death Star.
And everyone kept getting stuck in the mud.
In Buffalo. I'm going to make them go take pictures or go run down there, run through there and film it, dude, with your
you should. It's
your
great.
Camera. I want you to watch this movie and go run where she ran and show us.
You got to see it.
Exactly. You can do the same pictures, the same poses and stuff.
It's all about fan interaction. The way I look at this is like it's more fun if you guys interact with us, if we're allowed to interact with you. It just gives everybody, it makes it more fun for everybody. That's what I'm
Well, especially for like a film like this, it's meant to like bring people joy and like be fun and be cool and, all of that stuff.
Looking forward to seeing you in more stuff. But now remember, this was where you've had the most fun so far.
Yes, this is now where I've had
the best is
fun.
yet to come. You got to remember that. I'm always trying to top it. Always try to top that last.
I always tell them you can only go up from this show. So.
Oh my God.
We got people looking at you on a whole bunch of different places right now because I shared it out to all my different platforms. RJ, you got to just start using the other side of the studio so you can send the ones like this out to more places.
We're simulcasting to 3 different places right now. Pops, if you want, you will be able to download this one because I did clear out the cache.
Cool.
So if you want to grab it and shove it out there into the other networks for replay,
what I'll do is I'll do a late night replay of it. Ooh. Okay. In the middle of the night tonight, and we'll get all the Australian people looking at it. And we'll catch them English people getting out of bed in the morning because we have a pretty wide international audience. RJ does too. He really does. So
we get a lot of replay action. I know we have our live audience, but then people come in after and like, oh, I was watching this earlier. Now I'm going to go watch this.
Yeah, there's so much other stuff on that. It's you can't always get the live views, but you're happy if they're watching it tomorrow or the next day.
Whenever they want to watch it. That's the great thing about the world we live in now. That
everybody's their own TV station.
And
everybody can watch stuff on their own time.
Yes. Yeah. And we are actually building a Roku network. We're developing a Roku network right now.
Wow, that's awesome.
For our kind of people, for comic and pop culture and for us. So
we're just gonna have to do more movies and expand out in that direction. I'm horrible at it, but
well, we have
when people ask me, I'd say yes, please, content, sure, we'll do it.
Yes, and we will need some filler content for the Roku channel when we kick it off.
Okay, great. Now she's filler. Okay, thanks.
No,
Pops.
I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about we have some people that have approached Ben and Jeff that have independent movies they can't get seen anywhere.
Oh, you're talking about putting movies up there.
Yeah, and they're like, we can't get anybody to show it. We're like, guess what? We will. Nice.
Yeah,
we will.
Throw those things up there. 1:00 in the morning. Yeah, put it on.
Yeah.
Independent films, independent comics, game developing, game demos, all kinds of different stuff going on.
It's weird how much people watch in the middle of the night. Some of my favorite cartoon shows I watched in the middle of the night on Cartoon Network. Toonami, the late night.
Those are the ones you weren't supposed to be watching, Alexandra.
I know. I know. That's why I'm like this now.
Liquid TV, was that what it was?
She was watching C-Lab 2021.
Was it
like Robot Chicken
television or something?
Purge the Cowardly Dog and all of that stuff.
Robot Chicken, yeah, you weren't supposed to be watching that one.
Disgusting.
Okay.
All right.
Now we are going to wrap up. We're just
I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Thank you for giving me a little bit of time, and
it was great meeting you.
We will have you out on some of the shows on the different networks that RJ knows of. See, because he knows a lot of people. He ain't telling nobody. Talk to you later, RJ. Nice to meet you, Alexandra.
Nice to meet you.
Peace.
See you, Pops. All right, Alexandra, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I do really appreciate it. And I will get a hold of Jeff and make sure that we can try to schedule on these other networks because there's a lot of people who would want to talk with you that I do know.
Oh, awesome. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on.
Folks in the chat, thank you all for being here tonight. We don't have a show without you. I'm just a podcast falling in the woods otherwise. And of course, as always, while you were here, we just hope you had a blast. Good night.